What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be talking about A Quiet Place Part 2. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Leo, and if you guys like talking about movies, TV shows, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you have come to the right place. And like I said, today we're talking about A Quiet Place Part 2. So without further ado, let's get into the review. But before I get started and give you all my thoughts, make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below about the Quiet Place franchise. Are you guys excited for the new Quiet Place Day 1 movie coming out this weekend? Let me know all your guys' thoughts down below. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the pros. Now, the pros are very similar to what you would have heard me in my initial Quiet Place review, where I think the world building is done very well. There's a lot of things going for this movie in terms of characters, costume design, creature design, set locations, just the world building itself, the score. So again, I'll go ahead and break everything down a little bit more in depth, but that's kind of overall. There's a lot of similarities between these two movies of why I think they're so great. Now, starting off with kind of the plot of this movie, this is taking place literally right after the initial ending of the Quiet Place Part 1, where Emily Blunt's character defeats 3 of the local creatures that we have here, and they have to go out into the world and explore and try to find medicine and a new home, because their home is essentially destroyed and being burnt down because of the incident they have with all these monsters coming to their home. The movie doesn't start off there, though. It does have a kind of beginning of the day 1. So the first day 1 that we're going to see before we get the new movie. And it's just as an intense of a sequence as the original movie. This is definitely a lot more intense in terms of action packed, but where the first one is a lot more emotional. But I absolutely enjoyed everything that they give us here, where they're showing us before we even get the actual aliens here. So the society is still normal for the little glimpse that we get. You know, we have John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. They're at their son's baseball game, and that's when they see the big meteorite just coming down, and everybody's coming home, and then you start seeing the monsters just destroying everything. And I didn't really say this in my last review, I forgot to, but Emily Blunt as a final girl, as just a badass character, is amazing. Even in this beginning sequence that she's like driving around and the monsters are coming, she puts that thing in reverse, starts fucking driving backwards, keeping her kids safe. Like, she is just an awesome badass character, and she displays those things in this movie again. And again, her acting is amazing. You know, Emily Blunt, one of the best actors ever, or actresses I say, ever, and she displays just how badass she is in this movie, as well as everybody else around her. Everybody's grown, and that's what I like about these characters, that the little kids, they're still growing. I mean, they experience something that, you know, young kids should never experience, and they have to adapt and grow. And now without John Krasinski's character Lee being there to protect them, they have to kind of step into that role. And I do like that we have Cillian Murphy here as well, as a kind of like an old friend of the family, and kind of his role and how he kind of has fallen into madness and sees no hope in humanity anymore, and how everybody is not worth saving anymore, and he's just by himself. He lost his whole family to this apocalypse and stuff. So seeing him kind of transition from being that like hopeless human that's just trying to survive for himself, doesn't want to help anymore, to kind of being a little bit of a savior, especially to the young girl, the deaf girl here. It's a nice transition where he sees that there are still people out there worth saving for. He kind of gets like that sense of hope again, and he realizes that within himself that he kind of failed himself, and he needs to redeem himself. So I do like his kind of whole character arc that you get throughout the entire film, as well as, like I said a little bit previously, the little kids. We already seen that the deaf girl, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, she's already been a super badass from the beginning. She's super brave. She wants to be helpful. But then we had Marcus, the young boy, that was kind of the scaredy cat in a sense, for lack of a better word, where he was just afraid of everything. He didn't want to do anything. He didn't know how to help. He would freeze up in certain situations. And seeing his character grow to being kind of a little bit of a badass at the end too, and defeating one of the monsters to protect his little brother, or little brother sister, I can't remember if it's a boy or girl, the little brother sister, and also protect his mom. So you see in his character arc at the end too, where he becomes brave just like his father, is a nice thing to see as well. And I like that we're building a little bit more lore off of the monsters as well. We get to learn more of their weaknesses. You know, they're not able to swim and stuff, so that's a cool thing to see as well, as we're starting to adapt. And I hope John Krasinski continues this story. I know he did If, this year. So he was probably focusing on producing that. And now with Day One, he was he was a producer on Quiet Place Day One. So not sure when this storyline is going to continue, but it does leave things very open ended where there's still things to do. We had to rejoin this family, so we have to see where things go on in the future if this franchise continues going on. And I really hope it does, because this is an amazing franchise that John Krasinski and his crew and production teams and all the producers have created together. And we get the similar score like we did in the previous movie, and I think the score is very effective. It's very subtle, but it is effective, as well as I do think John Krasinski did an amazing job directing this film. There's a lot of great, beautiful shots that I thoroughly enjoy. Seeing it on the screen is amazing. It's beautiful to watch. It's fun to watch. The pacing is very well, especially again for another movie in his filmography that is only about an hour and a half. That is a beautiful runtime for a horror movie. Something you get in and out, have a good time with it, super quick, and it's just entertaining. And it's just directed beautifully. I love this story. It's not as powerful as the first one, in my opinion, but it's still a fun, entertaining story that keeps you entertained, keeps you kind of in that tense moments. It's definitely a fun action horror sci-fi thriller movie. Now, going into the cons for me, while I do think that characters in here are still performed very well, I don't think a lot of the other side characters are that impactful. Cillian Murphy being one of the more impactful characters in this movie. But when we get into like the island, for example, and we meet this kind of group that has been surviving here for a little while, none of the characters really seem that significant. We don't get any really time with them to kind of care for them. So when people start, eventually dying, you don't really care. And I'm interested to see how Day One is going to go, just because there is a character in this movie that seems to be a side character in Day One from the trailers. So I'm interested to see if it's going to tie in to this storyline, and it's going to be like this whole Quiet Place universe, in a sense. But a lot of the characters and even somewhat of the story isn't as impactful as the previous movie, where the other one was so much more condensed and family oriented, so much more emotional. This one definitely relies a lot more on that traditional like jump scare stuff, or kind of plot beats for plot beats. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it should have gone that way. It kind of draws intense moments on purpose, just to kind of continue that intensity. Like characters do some sort of stupid decisions that, they told, hey, just stay here, but they want to go out and explore and make noise. And now they're stuck in the situation where they can't breathe because they're in this little cylinder and there's no one there to help them, and the monsters are there and stuff. So it's like kind of those convenience things to make moments tense. There has to be some sort of stupid decision to do that. So a lot of times when you're watching it, it just feels like it's a little frustrating and a little less impactful, where in Quiet Place 1, all these things happened for a reason, and there was more of a high stake, it felt like. And speaking of performances, even though I think all performances are done pretty well, there was nothing that stood out like in the first one, like Emily Blunt's character, even the young girl, the deaf girl, that she did an amazing job in the first one. She does a great job in here too, but it doesn't feel as impactful. We don't get much of John Krasinski in this movie, so that's unfortunate too, but of course we all know why. But just characters are done very well. It's just not as intense as the first one. And although I like the ending of this, I think it merits being an ending like this. And also I like like I said, character arcs of different characters. This one feels a lot more open-ended than the previous one. Like if this movie never existed, I would be satisfied with the Quiet Place ending from the first one. This one, if this was like a standalone movie and that's the way it ended, it's a little bit more frustrating. It's a lot more open-ended. There's not a solid conclusion to this one, where even the other one still is open-ended and can lead us out to sequels. You feel satisfied with that ending. So this one, I like the ending, but it's not as satisfying as the previous movie. But overall, let me know what you guys think about A Quiet Place Part 2. I still thoroughly enjoy this movie. This is such a fun movie to watch. It's still one of my top movies of all time. I'm not sure if it'll be in my top 50 horror movies of all time, but it might be close. So we'll see. I am planning on doing a top 50 horror movies of all time in October on Halloween Day, hopefully. But Again, let me know what you guys think about this movie. Let me know what you guys think about the Quiet Place franchise. Are you guys excited for A Quiet Place Day 1? Let me know in the comment section down below. And remember, if you guys like Tom With movies, TV shows, or video game related, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And I'll see you guys on the next review. Thank you.